Hey Legends, this is Magnus. How you doing? In this video, I am reacting to Digital Charcuterie's video for DC United. What will season one look like? This is in response to the a current Marvel game out right now called Marvel United. It's in its its third season is being worked on and about to be shipped out in about March, April 2024. Or it's a miniatures board game basically for Marvel, and a recent Kickstarter campaign that CMON and DC did recently hinted at the possibility of a DC United in the near future. Now, this video was made before that, but I saw this video and I wanted to speak my piece on how I think about this. Let's get straight into it. Please comment, like, subscribe, share this video. Hope you enjoy it. React to my madness. Let's get started.
Hello, Marvel United fans. It's Andrew Fantasia here, and it's been a minute. Welcome back to Digital Charcuterie, where we just love talking about this crazy, wonderful, stupid, awesome, brilliant, giant, ridiculous board game, Marvel United, and all the wonderful things you can do with it, and all the hypothetical things that you could possibly do with it in the future. We have had a hypothetical season 4. We have ranked the multiverse expansions. There's just so much going on here, and we are dedicated to our goal here of making the wait for Marvel United Multiverse just as short as possible to get us through it, because it's still quite a ways away until the end of March.
For those who don't know, the campaign ended in about March, April of this year, 2023, and we have to wait for our shipment and our pledges to be done, which would be in a full year.
So we're here to talk shop, and today shop means something a little different. I'm wearing blue, which is the standard sort of designated color, if you will, of a certain other brand of comic books, the distinguished competition of Marvel. We're talking DC. And this is exciting for me because even though I'm a guy who obviously adores Marvel United and who also adores the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I have a podcast with one of my best friends where we talk about the MCU all the time. Like, I'm a Marvel lover. My heart bleeds Spider-Man. However, I am a huge fan of the DC universe. And when I say that, I mean just like the characters and the worlds that DC encompasses. I have always loved them, arguably more than I even love the worlds of Marvel, even though Marvel's way better at making movies out of those worlds. So we all here, and when I say we all, I mean all of you Marvel United fans alike, we have all sort of toyed with the notion of there being a possible DC United and what that might entail. With that being said, I have been working over the summer to come up with a season 1, if you will, of DC United and what that might look like. And I didn't stop there, though. I kind of went beyond that, but we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, though, I just thought, as a fun little experiment, and I'm sure there have been plenty of others who have done this already, but since we kind of do this sort of thing here on Digital Charcuterie, I've decided to slap together what a hypothetical season of DC United might look like and present it to all of you. And considering the CMON Expo has just happened and they brought out Deceased, which is going to be their Marvel Zombies DC equivalent, we now know they have a licensing agreement with DC.
That's what I was speaking of earlier in the video. If I did mention it, CMON's Deceased, the last update from their when the campaign was over, the very end of it had a tease that links to Marvel United, like how it's worded, how things were worded. So there's a high possibility that DC United may be coming up in the future.
So is it only a matter of time? I don't know, but that got us all pretty darn excited. The idea of somewhere down the line having Batman fight Spider-Man. I mean, it could happen in this game.
Oh.
But regardless, I crafted a first season of DC United, and I went about it like this. We all know, as much as we love these franchises and characters, we all know that they really are often derivative of one another, right? With the exception of some really unique characters like Batman, like Spider-Man, there really are parallels that you can draw. I mean, you can look at Adam and say, yeah, that's Ant-Man. Or you can look at Namor and say, yeah, that's Aquaman. Like, there are so many parallels you can draw, and they are obvious and they're right out there. So I figured, why not just embrace that wholeheartedly and look at it through that lens? So I looked at this season 1 of a DC United with the idea of what did they put in season 1 of Marvel United? What did they give us as Marvel fans? And then what is the parallel of that to DC fans? And I just sort of tried to find that mixture, and then I carried that over into the rest of the DC United stuff that I did. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at DC United season 1, and maybe, just maybe, in the near future, this will no longer be just hypothetical. But let's start at the very beginning with our core box. Okay, so the core box of Marvel United was very Avengers heavy. Obviously, the movies were hot at the time. In essence, it took the most popular characters in Marvel at the time, excluding, one or two like Spider-Man, and slapped them onto a box that everybody would want to buy because of its popularity. You have people like Captain America, Iron Man, the big names who are going to sell the most boxes. So why fix what ain't broken? That's exactly what's happening here. The core box of DC United Season 1 is going to be Justice League heavy, since that is the DC equivalent of the Avengers. And in this core box, we have 10 characters, because all good core boxes do, starting with our 6 heroes, who are Batman, Cyborg, The Flash, Green Lantern, the Jon Stewart version. And Jon Stewart will be the first character in this season, but not the last, to have the cool little translucent effects on his mini. Because he's a Green Lantern, he's going to have translucent green effects, maybe like shooting out of his ring or something. Since he's an architect, I would imagine it would probably be like a big steel girder. Superman and Wonder Woman. Everybody has heard of those. They are arguably some of the most marketable names in DC. They're going to sell boxes. For our 3 villains, I went with villains who are just sort of synonymous with most of the heroes in this box, and I wanted to go for the obvious choices because with a core box, that's really what you should do. So I went with Cheetah, the Joker.
Sorry. Stupid ads.
And Lex Luthor. Put Lex Luthor and Joker's faces on a box next to Batman and Superman.
Okay. Now, let me just get started. This will be a long video, sorry. But alright. Batman, Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, absolutely. Cyborg, no. To me, Cyborg, no. To me, I can't get past the idea of Cyborg being a Justice League member. I can't. Not even with DC use Cyborg. I can't. Green Lantern. I'd switch that. And Cyborg, I'd switch it with someone else, which will show up later. Which will show up later in the video. Cheetah. Okay, Cheetah can fit the role of Taskmaster, which arguably was lesser known when Marvel United Season 1 came out. The Joker, okay, it makes sense. Equivalent to Red Skull, Lex Luthor, equivalent to Ultron. Yeah, I can see that.
Everybody is going to know what's happening. Cheetah is to Wonder Woman what Joker is to Batman, so I thought, let's have her throw her hat into the ring too. She's not as popular, but you know what? Taskmaster was not that popular either, but he still made a good impression in Season 1 of Marvel. So Cheetah's in there. And for our 10th character, I opted to go for an anti-hero. Unlike Season 1 of Marvel, I thought, why keep a good thing down? Let's have anti-heroes all throughout. So our anti-hero for Season 1 is arguably another one of the most recognizable faces of DC, Miss Harley Quinn. And there you have it. Like, that is a core box.
Fair.
That is, I don't think
Fair.
you could do a core box more core boxy than this. In fact,
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. And
this
later,
reality does
I'll
become
explain.
real and the core box doesn't look like this, I'll be straight up shocked. Maybe Cheetah might be replaced by someone else.
We
But
can replace
honestly,
a few others
I
on
think
this
that
list.
this is as core boxy as DC possibly gets. I love this. I'm sticking with this as my core for the first season.
My core is Batman. Switch out Cyborg for another hero, which will come later. Flash, keep Green Lantern. Switch with another hero who will come later. Superman, Wonder Woman. Cheetah, Joker, Lex Luthor, Harley Quinn can stay.
In season 1 of Marvel, the villain expansion, the sort of big final boss of the season, was Thanos and the Black Order. And even though Thanos does have a DC equivalent, I didn't choose to go specifically for him. Instead, I kind of took a little bit of a right turn at Albuquerque here. We are still dealing with a powerful cosmic villain, but we're going through a different avenue here. For the villainous expansion, I went with Reign of Zod. And
I guess. But I would have gone with the most obvious one. Yes, I would have gone. Yes, I would have gone with Darkseid. I would have gone with Darkseid straight up.
Zod, we have 3 villains, and they are Non, Ursa, and Zod himself. And it's a very similar deal to Infinity Gauntlet. All 3 of these can be played as separate villains, but you can also do a Reign of Zod challenge mode where you've
Once again, the Infinity Gauntlet had approximately midnight, a Ebony Maw, and Skull Obsidian, and oh man, there was it those 3? I think it was those 3 and Thanos. Was because I forget his the other Black Order's name, and he was in the stretch goal box. So the fact that you are one character down, you're one less character in this box.
got to face Non, and then Ursa, and then Zod. Work your way through them. It's a gauntlet. It works. Zod is a Superman villain that's always been terrifying if you think about it, because he's a Kryptonian. He's so powerful. I wanted to save some of the bigger, even heavier hitters for the other seasons, so I just thought
You go, you go all out in season 1. Give us Darkseid in as oh man. I personally would have replaced this with Raid like Darkseid, like all hail Darkseid or something like that, where Darkseid is the equivalent of Thanos. You have Big Barda. You have oh man, now I don't know his other henchmen. Darn it! Like parademons, all that. Like have his service come up and oh
Zod's
dude,
a great
replace.
one-on-one final boss. So that's what we went with.
I would have put
And
Reign of
in
Zod
full
in season
Kickstarter
2.
fashion, if you decide
Season
to
2
back
or 3.
this, you get the core box and the villain box together. You get a Kickstarter bonus. And in past games, it's been usually a team of villains. So I thought, let's do the same thing. The team of villains you get as a Kickstarter bonus.
Season 3, I believe, did this. I don't know if season 1 and season 2 who did this, but season 3 did it with the Wrecking Crew.
If you pledge, is the Royal Flush Gang. These guys cannot be faced separately. They work more like the Wrecking Crew here, but they are 5 characters, 10 Jack, Queen, King, and Ace, and you face off against them as the Royal Flush Gang. These guys are a lot of fun. They're a very visually striking team, and I think having minis of these guys would be really, really cool because they're very underrated. Not a lot of people know about them, but they're the ones I wanted to see here as a Kickstarter bonus. And now it's on to our expansions. And for our first expansion, once again, if I look back at Marvel United, they took one of the key members of the Avengers, namely Thor. They removed him from the equation and gave him his own box full of his own homies and enemies. and made that an expansion. Well, we're going to do the same thing here. So you'll notice that the Justice League lineup in the core box was noticeably missing one Fishman. That's why we have Atlantis Awakes. And Atlantis Awakes contains 3 heroes and a villain. You've got Aqualad, Aquaman, Mira, and our villain is the dastardly Black Manta. Aqualad.
As someone who just saw recently Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom and had a bunch of fun out of it,
Aquaman
I'm
and
cool
Mira
with this. I'm cool
all have
with this.
translucent water effects on
Thank
their
you.
minis, because that'll look incredible, and I love when that happens. Aquaman's pocket of the DC universe has always been pretty cool. I love the looks of these guys. I'm sure for painters, these would be really fun characters to paint. This just feels like a very atypical season 1 kind of United expansion. For the next expansion, Marvel took another very popular character, being Spider-Man, and gave him his own box as well. While I feel like we needed Batman in the core box, I still wanted to do a separate thing where I put Batman's world in its own little box. So presenting the next expansion, which is Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights is very similar. 3 heroes and a villain. You get Batgirl, Nightwing, and the Tim Drake version of Robin.
I gotta disagree with this. Not even with Tim Drake, Robin. I just add one more anti-hero to this mix. Add one more anti-hero to this mix. You use the video game font. You use the video game logo.
And you can pit them against the Penguin. This to me.
The Penguin! The Penguin! The Penguin! You should have put in something like the Court of Owls villain. But
feels like a no-brainer.
I would have put a
people are going to
Court of Owls or Man
not
Bad
necessarily characters that would sell a core box. So boom, you slap them in an expansion. This one could be an expansion that goes to retail like Spider-Man did, because
he's right there.
It'll work wonders. You might even say it'll work boy wonders, because there's 2 of them. Hey-o. Next up, probably one of the most popular teams in recent DC history, the Teen Titans.
Recent.
This one I drew from a few different flavors of Teen Titans. We have Cyborg in the core box already, and
which is a mistake. Okay, a mistake. No, Cyborg is a Teen Titan. Put him on the Teen Titans.
Fills a Teen Titan slot and a Justice League slot, so that's pretty groovy. So we're filling out this roster here with 3 heroes: Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire, who's my favorite. And after that, we've got 1 villain, Deathstroke.
On paper, this expansion is just fine. This is just fine. But to me, I would lean into the Teen Titans show, okay? The Teen Titans show from the 2000s. Like Dick Grayson, Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire, or Deathstroke, and then there's one more.
Arguably their most notorious rogue, but I didn't want to stop there. So we also have an anti-hero, and this is a deep cut going way back to 90s comics. Say hello to Terra.
Something tells me Mr. Fantasia is not. He's never seen the Teen Titans show, because
was a Teen Titan, and then she betrayed the Teen Titans in a very infamous twist.
Younger generations know this.
A great addition to the roster of anti-heroes. This is a
great, solid
expansion. Again, this could even be a retail one, because I think a lot of people would dig this. And speaking of
if you do the marketing right, heck yeah. If you do the marketing right, heck yeah.
Heroes. Our next expansion is going to dive into that world, but it's actually going to be, it's not going to have as many purple minis as you would think, and that is the Suicide Squad.
Okay, this is really where I start disagreeing with this man. Oh my gosh.
This has become a household name. So why not throw it in as an expansion box with the following characters: Katana and Rick Flag as heroes,
Yeah.
Blockbuster as your villain, and Amanda Waller as an anti-hero.
I personally feel Amanda Waller is a straight villain. I hate her and her guts. She can kick rocks. She can get hit by a bus. I hate her, but okay.
Plus, to sweeten the pot just a little bit, we'll make this a retail box. However, if you pledge on Kickstarter and get it early, you will get the Kickstarter exclusive hero, Peacemaker.
First of all, Peacemaker shouldn't be just a hero. This man is an anti-hero, bro. He's an anti-hero. He does what is told of him, whether it's good or not.
Suicide Squad is tricky, but I think that this is a pretty decent combination of characters that have passed through these revolving doors of this team. This would excite me. I like this.
There are more. It's not. Oh my goodness, Suicide Squad is not Marvel. Is not DC's X-Men. Obviously not. But it's like the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts. It's like that's a team. Like
Especially Katana. Katana's a really cool Suicide Squad character. So having her front and center on the box would just make that box look pretty nifty. Looking back at Marvel, they broke the bank, as far as I'm concerned, when they made Return of the Sinister Six. That expansion alone was kind of what prompted me to say, I should really invest in this game. Yep. Because I love Spider-Man villains. And when it comes to finding a DC counterpart for Spider-Man villains, let's face it, nobody has a roster of villains as exciting and as interesting as Batman's roster of villains. So, with Return of the Sinister Six as our baseline here, I am proud to present the DC United expansion, Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum contains 5 villains: Bane, Black Mask, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, and Victor Zsasz. You can face all 5 of them individually at any point, but this box also comes with Arkham Asylum mode.
Okay, I'm going to pause here. Alright. I understand the Arkham Asylum. I understand his mentality and I agree with it. Now, this roster, I got some big problems with this roster. Okay, Bane, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, I'm fine with. In what world is Black Mask and Victor Zsasz in this box? In what world? In what world? There are multiple better villains you could pick for an Arkham Asylum expansion. Killer Croc and Clayface, just to start. Clayface and Killer Croc. Replace Black Mask and Victor Zsasz. No.
You can face off all 5 of them together as a team. You are trapped within the confines of Arkham Asylum. They have broken free. They're causing untold havoc, and it's your job to lock them back up. And yes, as you have probably already guessed, in future seasons of DC United, Arkham Asylum, just like the Sinister Six, will become modular. So you could swap out any 5 Batman villains and have your own customized Arkham Asylum encounter. This alone would make me go all in on a DC United. However, I didn't want to stop there. Another DC hero who has a huge roster of villains that I thought it would be fun to take advantage of is the Flash. So, piggybacking on this, I present to you the Rogues expansion. And this is the same deal. You are actually getting 6 characters, 4 villains and 2 anti-heroes, and those are Abracadabra, Mirror Master, Pied Piper, The Top, and Captain Cold, and Heatwave as your anti-heroes. Heatwave will have a little translucent fire effect coming out of his gun. And this is the same.
Okay. Now, again, I don't know who the Pied Piper or the top is, but hey, Marvel United has had a bunch of characters I have no idea about. Oh, so that's fine. My problem with this one, in what world, Mr. Fantasia, do you have Heatwave with his translucent fire, but you don't give Captain Cold translucent ice? In what world? In what world? In what world do you give don't give Captain Cold translucent ice? Really? Have you seen the CW Flash show? Have you seen Injustice 2? Captain Cold has become a bit of a more popular villain or anti-hero, and you ain't going to give him translucent ice.
Same deal. All of these villains can be fought individually, or you can face off against them as the Rogues, a team of 6 Flash villains who are all interchangeable as we unlock.
Now, where's this big guy? Sorry, the Brain and I forget his name, but they were in Teen Titans. So.
More rogues throughout this and other future seasons of DC United. Why have only one customizable villain team when you can have 2? I love it. This would make me
No, that's Gorilla Grodd. Okay, that's Gorilla Grodd.
We come to the stretch goal box, everybody's favorite box, at least mine, because you get.
Okay, the stretch goals boxes. If you've been in Kickstarter, you may know what stretch goals are. When you get past a certain money amount, you unlock something. Here's where I feel I get more like insulted. So I feel insulted by some of these picks.
And I looked to the season 1 stretch goal box as sort of a baseline. I looked at how many minis you get in it, and I didn't want to overshoot it by too much because that would feel unrealistic, and I didn't want to undershoot it. I wanted to kind of find that sweet spot where it almost matches up, and I think we got there. The season 1 Marvel promo box had 35 heroes and 9 villains for a total of 44 characters. Well, here we have 25 heroes, 16 villains, and 3 anti-heroes, and that still works out to 44 characters.
Me personally, I would up that to 60. I would have upped it to 60. So with the 6, I would have added. I probably would have given the extra 6 to the anti-heroes. I would have given the extra 6 to anti-heroes.
So the box can be the exact same size. Nothing's overdone. It all fits.
Mine would be bigger.
Let's take a look at who's in the stretch goal box, starting with the villain, Amazo. Amazo is a Justice League villain. He is a living computer.
I understand that. One, not this look. Unless you're giving us a multiverse version of Amazo, do not give us this look. Give us the one from either the Justice League animated series, or give us even one from the animated Injustice movie. Just give us something where Amazo is recognizable.
Like these Mr. Spock ears. He's always had just a great look. He's colorful. I love him.
Just don't give us that specific look unless it's a reskin.
Thrown into the mix. He's kind of like the DC version of Ultron, I guess, is the best way to put it. Next is the Atom, who can shrink down to minuscule sizes, hence his name. He's a great fit, right? He's a very fair character. I want to see him in here. Next, we have a hero who is probably DC's answer to Spider-Ham, and that is Batmite.
Okay, here's where I disagree. I disagree with this one because the recent Marvel United expansion, like season 3, is going into the multiverse. And if I was to do a multiverse DC United, I would have had Batmite in the core box along with Mr. Mixapilic, going into multiversal characters in the DC universe, and Batmite fits that.
Kind of shown up in the past decade or so. I think he's a newish character. A lot of people seem to love Batmite.
Newish, really?
Batmite here as a stretch goal, because why not? It's fun. Our next stretch goal is a hero who I think is really cool. I play as her a lot in Injustice 2. It's Black Canary. Black Canary's.
Okay, that's fair. If I was to replace Batmite with somebody, if he couldn't get a box, if he couldn't get an expansion of his own, I would add either Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle or another Nah, either Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle or one of the previous versions of like Ted Core's Blue Beetle, maybe. But if that's the case, I would want to do a full-on Blue Beetle expansion with all versions of Ted Cord, and then like like versions of the Reach. Darn it. So never mind. I'd have to replace Batmite with somebody else. Hmm. I would I would replace Batmite with maybe Arsenal. Maybe Arsenal from Young Justice. Maybe Arsenal could fit there. And then I give him maybe the Gotham Knights, like adding him to a team deck like that.
She's
Eh,
awesome. She's just a
Arsenal
really cool,
or
solid
somebody
character.
like
She's
that.
got a great look. She's got a cool power. I want to play as Black Canary. I also want to play as Black Lightning, our next stretch goal hero. This guy's
Okay,
awesome.
fair.
He had a really fun show too in the Arrowverse. And because it wouldn't be perfect otherwise, Black Lightning is going to have translucent yellow lightning effects all over his miniature.
Yellow, I guess, but you can also go with blue.
Bronze Tiger, who I don't know too much about, but
He said he was it. You just mentioned the Arrowverse, and that means you must have not seen Arrow because Bronze Tiger was in Arrow.
I remember just him having a really cool costume, and he just seems like a mainstay hero that's been there throughout all the years. So we're putting Bronze Tiger in there. The beautiful thing about these stretch goal boxes is it's the perfect place to put kind of underused, undersung heroes and villains.
Fair.
Next
Yeah,
up,
true.
we're going to add to the Suicide Squad roster with an anti-hero, Captain Boomerang. He's going to be purple.
Captain Boomerang needs to be in the Suicide Squad box. You do it like how you do it like the movie. You have the movies where you put Captain Boomerang in there, and then if you didn't put Harley Quinn in the core expansion box, you put her in the Suicide Squad box or Arkham Asylum. She fits in all of those.
You can play as him as a hero. You can also face off against him as a villain. And he was a rogue, so he will also come.
And I add him to the Suicide Squad. I'd make a Suicide Squad on Team Deck or whatever, and add him to that. Secondly, to replace because I take Captain Boomerang out of there, I'd replace him probably with I think his name was Doombreaker or the villain that Mr. Fantasia called for as the villain of the Suicide Squad. I'd probably put him here instead, and then if I needed a different character just to place it there, maybe Rope Master, like the one guy in Suicide Squad, the first one, on the first to get his head blown off. I would put him there.
With a interchangeable sort of set of cards where he can be played against in the Rogues villain team. Speaking of interchangeable anti-heroes, our next one is Catwoman, the cat burglar with the...
Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, I can see Catwoman being in the stretch goal box. I can see it because the Marvel stretch goal box had Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Vision, War Machine, all the big heavy hitters in there. So because of that, I can see it. I can see it. So but I would rather put Catwoman in like the Marvel, I mean the Gotham Knights box, something like that. But okay.
Gold and the ridiculously revealing outfits. Catwoman.
Okay, let's keep going.
Our next one is Catwoman, the cat burglar with the heart of gold and the ridiculously revealing outfits. Catwoman's going to be a hero and a villain. I come from the old-fashioned Batman, where to me she's always been a villain, but
I remember that time, yeah. But again, I'm like, you could put Catwoman. I wouldn't put her in Gotham Knights, but okay. Like, okay. She can go in the stretch goal
I get it.
box.
They made her just more of a noble
But
thief. She is going to be purple, obviously. You can play as her, you can play against her, and she's also going to be interchangeably added to the Arkham Asylum mode.
that
So
makes
you can
sense.
face off against her in Arkham Asylum.
It
I
makes
don't think
sense.
she's insane, but she would probably end up locked in there anyway, especially the Michelle Pfeiffer version. She was scary. Next is the Wonder Woman villain Cersei.
Okay.
She's got all kinds of crazy magical
I haven't heard
powers,
of
so
her.
she will be a fun supernatural villain to go up against. And after Cersei is a hero that, even though he doesn't have powers or a costume, he's just such a mainstay DC hero. We got to have him in here, and that is Commissioner Jim Gordon. A Batman world without.
Once again, I can accept it, but again, it's just either change Gotham Knights to Gotham City. Like either change the Gotham Knights box to Gotham City and have the Gotham Knights, Catwoman, and Commissioner Gordon in there. I'm like,
Commissioner Gordon is not a Batman world that I
okay,
want to live in. So
okay.
I want to throw him in here. I want you to be able to play as Commissioner Gordon. If you can play as Nick Fury, you can play as Commissioner Gordon. Next, we have the villain Count Vertigo.
I remember him from Arrow. Of course, he didn't have this look and like this comic look, but
Who I would hate to go up against because he kind of spins everything around and plays with your equilibrium. And I get nauseous really easily, so I would not want to have to deal with Count Vertigo in real life. Thankfully, though, dealing with him in this board game sounds much more manageable. Next is the hero Crimson Fox, who is a thief as well. I think she steals paintings. And if I remember right, I think it's a pair of twins who pretend to be one person, and both of them are Crimson Fox. If my trading card memory serves me right, anyway. Next, we're getting a villain who I admittedly did not hear about until recently, and that is Damien Dark. He showed up in the Arrowverse a bunch, and he was very powerful. He had
again, how have you seen the Arrowverse and then forget Bronze Tiger was in it? Secondly, if they did Damien Dark, give him his Arrowverse look. In my opinion, give him his Arrowverse look.
a lot of telekinesis. I don't know what this guy's deal is, but he has become insanely prolific in the DC world. And apparently he showed up a lot in the books too. So I'm going to put Damien Dark in here just because it seems like he's kind of on the DC pulse right now. And next we have our final anti-hero of season 1. I know, not a lot of anti-heroes this season, but there'll be more. But it is going to be Deadshot.
Again, I got some problems with this. How in the world do you put Deadshot, a staple Suicide Squad member, in a stretch goal box? How? How can you do? It's criminal in my eyes. It's criminal for you to do this. Deadshot belongs in the Suicide Squad box, and you can switch him with who did you pick? Who did you pick? Hold on. Let me just go back a little bit. Suicide Squad. Here we go. Okay. Just add Deadshot onto that. Keep and then like I said before, switch Blockbuster with Captain Boomerang and just add Deadshot in there as an extra like just in there and make it 5 characters and then you can keep Peacemaker Kickstarter exclusive.
Next character who can be added to the Suicide Squad roster. And he can also, as a Batman villain, be added to the Arkham Asylum modular mode.
Yep.
He likes to shoot people, and he's really, really good at shooting people. If you ever played Arkham City, you know how scary it can be to go up against Deadshot.
Okay, now because I said I wanted to add 6 more anti-heroes to it to make it 60. Off the top of my head, like it's hard to think of. I think I would just add more Suicide Squad members. Like I would add, darn, for anti-heroes. Like either I already said I wanted to make Clayface, put Clayface in there as a villain, but I would say like the if you've seen the Batman TV series, like the TV series The Batman, that version of Clayface, who was the police officer, like Bennett, Officer Bennett, who was more of an anti-hero. Make a second version of Clayface where it's that version of Clayface and he's an anti-hero. Um, darn it, because Man Bat's a villain. Darn it, Mr. Freeze is also a villain. Darn it, so I can't really put him in there as an anti-hero. Shoot, oh man, darn, I can't think. I can't think. I'm gonna have to think
Next is
about it.
one of my all-time favorite DC heroes. He is the DC answer to Doctor Strange, and he also has his medical degree. It's Doctor Fate. And look at that costume. That is one of the best costumes in comics. I don't care. Come at me.
I agree with that, but I got a big problem with you putting Doctor Fate in a stretch goal box. I understand that Doctor Strange was in there, yeah, but I'll wait until later. I'll wait until later to expand
Well,
on it.
Dr. Fate is going to be a playable character. He's going to have lots of magic spells and sorceress abilities. His mini is going to have him floating around with his cape billowing out. I can see it now, and I'm already waiting in line at the game store, even though they don't even have Spider-Geddon yet. We're going to stick with people who have their medical degree, and we're going to jump over to the villainous side of things, though, with the Wonder Woman villain, Dr. Poison. She actually had a small
Fair.
role in the Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
I think she was working with the Germans, but she's always coming up with poisons and concoctions and horrible things. She has syringes on her person at all times, and you do not want her to prick you with any of them. Let's just say that. And then next we have another Wonder Woman character, a hero this time, Donna Troy, who I'm not saying I had a crush on her whenever she popped up in a comic book, but also not saying I would turn her down if she asked me to the Harvest Dance. So let's just put that on the table and have it be what it is. But Donna Troy is a great character, and she has become a mainstay of Wonder Woman's world. So let's have her here. Next is Fire. She is a DC hero
I've not
that
heard of
I
this one.
remember being really enamored with because I love how she had green hair. And
Honestly,
when
haven't
she
heard of her
transformed into her
before.
fire mode, she wasn't red, she was still green. I always thought that was awesome. So Fire is going to be a mini with the translucent plastic, and it's going to be green. So she's basically going to look like a female version of the Human Torch mini, but instead of red, green, right? Simple as a pimple. I can't wait to see what that would look like being held in my hand. I'm excited. Speaking of green, another super popular DC character who needs to show up, and this is a perfect place for him, is, of course, the Green Arrow, Oliver Queen himself. He is a modern day Robin Hood, robs from the rich and defeats corruption and helps the poor. He's Green Arrow. What more can you say? He is DC's answer to Hawkeye. Hawkeye was in.
And in my opinion, go with the picture here on screen. Give him the hood because I'm most familiar with the Arrowverse. I have a hard time seeing Green Arrow without a hood.
In the stretch goal box, Green Arrow's in the stretch goal box. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. To me, he's sort of the vanilla.
Before I let me
Green Lantern, and I find him kind of boring because of that. He really doesn't have a personality. Even though I love the Green Lantern stories and I've read so many of them, I really prefer John Stewart and Kyle Rayner and Guy Gardner. Right? So
Guy Gardner. This one especially irks me. With all due respect, Mr. Fantasia, you're crazy. Hal Jordan to me is the better Green Lantern. I don't care. Hal Jordan is the better Green Lantern. In fact, Hal Jordan needs to be switch. Like I said, switch John Stewart Green Lantern on the DC United core box for Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is the definitive Green Lantern to me. I'm sorry, but if I would rather, and then I wouldn't even honestly put John Stewart in the stretch goal box. Yes, if I would switch places, but I'd rather do a Lantern core box, like a definitive, like the Lantern core, or like the emotional spectrum box with characters from each of the Lantern cores in one box, and John Stewart would be the main Green Lantern in that one. But oh, and he's vanilla, really? You gonna say it's? Oh man, oh my gosh. This is an insult to me. This is insulting.
That's why I wanted to put Jon Stewart in the core box. Like he's just more of the classic likable Green Lantern, where
Baloney, baloney.
Hal Jordan is just kind of cardboard. But
How can you be? This is such a. This, oh, this hurts me. Okay, Hal Jordan is ain't no cardboard cutout. Oh my gosh.
I know he means a lot to a lot of people, so you have to include him. And also, Hal should have translucent green effects.
I'd be ready to throw. I'd be ready to throw some hands if you didn't give it to it.
On his miniature. The next hero we're going to unlock is Hawk Girl. The Hawk Girl Hawkman story is,
Fair.
to me, one of the best stories in the DC universe. It's so unique. If you don't know their story, look it up, man. It's insane. It's so cool. And let's just go right ahead and reveal the next one is going to be
One. I think it would be more of a season 2 choice, but an anti-hero I'd probably place would be a fear lantern Hal Jordan as an anti-hero, or because he used it for example, the Injustice storyline to be more of a kind of a hero, but he was also, because giving into fear he could be a villain. So that's one I could
So you're
think
going to
of.
get both of these characters. They're going to have beautiful minis with their wings, and I'm going to play as them a lot because I like them a lot. And I can see their cards now, right as if I'm holding them in my hand. I'm already excited. So I'm looking forward to having them be unlocked in this hypothetical game that doesn't exist.
Hot Girl, I think, should get maybe a special like challenge card, like in connection to the Justice League animated series, where she may like she has ulterior mission or motive that could put her against her teammates.
Exist yet. Next, we're going to jump up to a Green Lantern villain. He's going to be an oversized mini. Probably makes sense to be a little bit over, at least a little bigger, like how the Brood Queen was. And that is Hector Hammond. Because Hector Hammond's whole thing
I've
is
never
he's a
heard of this
normal-sized
guy.
body but a giant head, and he can't talk, but he can communicate telepathically. And he's weird, and he's always sweaty and gross. Next is a hero who is, pardon the pun, a very cool hero. Her name is Ice. She
I get sick of people saying sorry for the pun. Just do it. I like using puns. I don't care what anybody says.
Has been part of the, I believe, the Justice League or the Justice Society. I can't remember offhand. On again, off again, girlfriend of Guy Gardner. Ice is also best friends with Fire, which I always.
I still can't believe this man is saying Guy Gardner is a more interesting and better Green Lantern than Hal Jordan. That's some baloney. That's malarkey. That's blasphemy.
Thought was really fun that the two of them were kind of this odd couple. She will have translucent ice effects on her mini.
Again, how do you give translucent ice effects to this girl, but you don't give it to Captain Cold? The disrespect on Captain Cold.
Somehow,
Disrespect.
Next, we're going to unlock a Kryptonian hero, Jor-El. I've always loved the Kryptonian.
I disagree with this one because again, okay, I think further down the line, like especially when a certain character he brings up comes in, you'll understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. But I would do a dedicated expansion box for like starting with Jor-El, and you'll see what I'm talking about later.
And how the different clans of Krypton have different suits. They really played with that a lot in Man of Steel. But I love the idea of having another Kryptonian with a similar suit to Superman, and Jor-El fits the bill so well. He's a very beloved part of the Superman mythos. So let's.
And I would switch Jor-El with. I'd personally switch Jor-El with someone like. I already said Arsenal. Darn it. I don't think he said it. So I would switch Jor-El with an anti-hero with Talia al Ghul. I would probably switch that with Talia al Ghul, and then possibly add like another anti-hero, but he's way more of a villain. But I think he's like he he has somewhat of a moral code. But I'd add another anti-hero maybe with Ra's al Ghul Well, but I also feel that would be a little bit disrespectful to put him in the stretch goal box. But I would probably switch Jor-El and Hal Jordan to put him over in the core box and move John Stewart to a Lantern core box with both Al Ghuls.
Let's get him in there as a playable character. He might be a little overpowered, so let's say he's the Adam Warlock of this stretch goal box. Next, we have Kid Flash, the sidekick of Adult Flash. Kid Flash is great. The Flash
that makes
world
sense.
is very dense. There's a lot going on, so I want to throw as many of those characters into this game as possible. He can be this stretch goal box's equivalent of Quicksilver, right? Makes sense to me. Next, we're unlocking the villain Killer Croc.
Again, this is so much disrespect. There's so much wrong with what I'm looking at right here. How in the world do you have Killer Croc in the stretch goal box and you put Black Mask and Victor Saz in the Arkham Asylum expansion, Mr. Fantasia? No. You gotta put Killer Croc in the Arkham Asylum expansion. Like I said, take out Black Mask, take out Black Mask and put him in the stretch goal box. Take out Victor Sands, put him in the stretch goal box. You put Clayface and Killer Croc in the Arkham Asylum. Oh my god, this is insane.
And he is going to come obviously with an interchangeable mode where he can be added to Arkham Asylum, and you can face off against him and 4 other inmates. Next is a hero.
And also, I would probably to add an anti-hero. I think maybe to add an anti-hero and then to add it to the Suicide Squad, like an anti-hero to add to the Suicide Squad and Flash's rogues, King Shark. Add King Shark.
Who absolutely needs to be here, Martian Manhunter.
There is so much wrong. I'm going to let him speak because he gives the exact point of why I disagree with this.
This is a Justice League character who is beloved by all. I mean, so many people would say he's their favorite. Martian Manhunter is just a great character. In my opinion, he is the heart and soul of the Justice League, even more so than Superman is.
Then why in the world do you put Martian Manhunter in the stretch goal box? He belongs in the core box. Take out Cyborg, replace him with Martian Manhunter. Take out Cyborg, take out John Stewart Green Lantern, and switch him. Oh, Martian Manhunter does not belong in no darn or stretch goal box. He belongs in the core box, man.
So, of course, we want to get Martian Manhunter in here. Next, we're getting a Superman villain by the name of Metallo.
That's fine.
Right, Metallo's got kryptonite inside of him, so it's hard for Superman to get close and beat him up. But Metallo has always been sort of a mainstay Superman rogue, so he's showing up here. Another hero who's going to come in here is Pantha, and I guess she would be the equivalent of Marvel's Tigra. I think they kind of play off each other really well. But Pantha has a great look. Her trading card was a lot of fun. She's our next hero here. Our next villain is also going to be a Superman villain, and that is Parasite, one of the coolest looking Superman villains.
I've never heard of Pantha or Parasite, so I want to know more about these characters.
I really like the look of Parasite, and he's had different looks, and they've all been unique and interesting. And I want to see what happens when you go up against Parasite, because he's probably going to sap your powers, and the more he saps, the stronger he gets. So I imagine he would make you flip over your superpowered cards, and every time he does that, maybe he gains HP or something. I don't know. Parasite would be a lot of fun to play against. Speaking of fun characters, our next unlockable character is the hero Plastic Man. He stretches, he shrinks, he goes up and down. He's Plastic Man. I mean, look at him. He's hilarious. He might be a decent answer to Deadpool, maybe, because he's just so snarky and tongue-in-cheek, and I think he mugs. And
if you take Mr. Fantastic powers, make it more ridiculous, and then add Deadpool's rated R aspect and put them together, yeah, that's Plastic Man.
Breaks the fourth wall a lot, but I know a lot of people love him.
Wall.
So Plastic Man's going to be a thing. His mini will probably be a lot like Mr. Fantastic's mini. Next is a villain by the name of Plastique. She causes explosions, hence the name Plastique. Moving on, the hero known as the Question, who is a
I've heard of this. I've heard of this DC character a lot, and he's honestly interesting to me just by the suit and the face. By no having no face, he's
part
just
of
interesting to
the
me.
Gotham world. The Question has always fascinated me, so I wanted to throw him in there. And he's also going to be considered to be part of the Gotham Knights team because there will be team decks in DC United, because why not? So you'll be able to add the Question to
Again, I would say take Gotham Knights and change it to Gotham City. Add certain characters. There's with Batgirl, sure, Nightwing. I get. Eh, yeah, you can do it. I guess you can do it. Um, Da- Tim Drake, I guess. Red Hood. I'd say put Red Hood in there. Yeah. Catwoman, Penguin, I guess, can fit as a villain and with Catwoman as an anti-hero. And then have the Gotham Knights be the team deck.
your team if you're playing with that mode. You will also be able to add the next hero to your Gotham Knights team mode, and that is the Red Hood.
Again, there's so much wrong with what I'm looking at. Red Hood is a anti-hero at best. At best, he's an anti-hero. Oh, he went from a villain, from the Boy Wonder to a villain to becoming Batman with just more angst, willing to kill. Oh my gosh. Red Hood should not be in the stretch goal box. He should be in the Gotham Knights, Gotham City box. There ain't no way you're going to put him in here and then you disrespect him even more by making him a hero. Oh. And then Red Hood would honestly, Red Hood may honestly be the only one. Like, if I wanted to choose between making him purple or doing what they did with Venom initially, with having him a blue hero minifigure and a red one, I'd be willing to do that with Red Hood because you can do two different poses with him. One where he's in his traditional red, and one where you play him as a
He's
hero.
one of the newer ones, right? He's Jason Todd. He came back after Joker beat him to death, and he decided, I'm angry now. I'm the Red Hood. People like him. He's the Raphael of the Gotham Knights, and he will be a playable hero
He
in the
don't
stretch goal
he
box.
don't he don't belong in the stretch go box. He don't belong there.
So will the next character, Red Tornado, who was created
Okay.
by a mad scientist to be an enemy of the Justice League, and then they bypassed his circle.
And then if I were to replace Red Hood with somebody, um, Artemis. I replace Red Hood with Artemis from Young Justice. To replace Red Hood with Artemis. Add another Archer
Or whatever, and now he's a hero.
as a hero.
In my opinion, he is very much the DC equivalent of the Vision. The Vision was in the stretch goal box. Red Tornado's in the stretch goal box. It all fits. Next up is the Wonder Woman villain, Silver Swan. She just has a very cool look to her, too. A very unique look for a villain. I wanted to represent some Wonder Woman characters, give them some love, because her world kind of doesn't get played with as much as I think it should. And next
I feel like Wonder Woman should get an expansion box of her own. Like dealing, not she can be in the core box, but going into like Themyscira and some of its villains, like have Ares in there in reference to the Wonder Woman movie. Um, if I were to replace, eh, like if Cheetah wasn't in the core box, I'd put her in that. Um, and then add a few other Amazonian warriors from known DC history and add it to that box. But otherwise, okay.
Is a villain from Aquaman's world by the name of Siren. I believe she's Mira's sister, except she's really mean. And Mira and her sister can do like these water bending things that Aquaman can't. So Siren will be a fun villain to play off against, and she speaks to the sea life as well. So she's going to have probably a lot of henchmen who are like hammerhead sharks and things like that. And Siren will obviously have translucent water effects on her mini as she jumps out of the ocean in a very evil way. The sculptors will make it look evil somehow. Next is a hero who I think not only does she have to be in the stretch goal box, but she should be front and center on the stretch goal box artwork, because I would love to see her in chibi form, and that is Supergirl. I mean, come on, baby, it's Supergirl.
I get completely where he's coming from. I get it, but I disagree that Supergirl should, like, yes, she should be in season one, I guess, but I wouldn't put Supergirl in the stretch goal box. I would have a dedicated expansion box in connection to what I was saying before. I would make it House of L. I would make an a House of L expansion box with Supergirl, Jor-El, oh, Superboy, Crypto the Superdog. Oh man, who else? Nah, I go. Okay, if this was dealing with the multiverse, like with season 3 of Marvel United, I would go into multiversal versions of Superman as well with Bizarro, Injustice Superman, um, then darn it, what is it? I believe there is. Oh man, I think there's a character who is the daughter, I think, of Superman and Wonder Woman. Is it? Or so, I forget her name, but like there are multiple Kryptonians that I would put under like in just House of L as an expansion box. I can see where he's going with Supergirl as putting Supergirl in the stretch goal box, but I would personally do an expansion of its own. Also Power Girl, and then on top of that, if I wanted to switch Supergirl for somebody, I would probably pick Power Girl as an anti-hero. I would pick Power Girl as an anti-hero.
She rocks. For me, in the Marvel box, it was all about like I can't wait to play as She-Hulk. Here, it's I can't wait to play as Supergirl. So I'm gonna have her front and center. I don't care. She's gonna be the star of this box, as far as I'm concerned. I want Supergirl to be in this, and it's happening, right? She's a mainstay. She's here. Next is the villain known as the Thinker.
Put her in
who
a House of
is
L
going
box.
to outthink all of the heroes a bunch of times. And he's got all these nodes sticking out of his head.
That makes
sense.
sense.
The second Suicide Squad movie, he was in it, and that's what he looks like. He's also on the Flash show, but he looks a little different there. But the Thinker is cool. He's a great villain. Let's have him in here. Let's also have the villain T.O. Morrow, who is a mad scientist. There's a lot of mad scientists in DC, but he's one that kind of stands out from the crowd. I believe he is the one who invented Red Tornado. So maybe T.O. Morrow will come with a Red Tornado henchman card as a threat card. A mad scientist seems like a fun villain to go up against, and I don't think we've had any of those in Marvel United. So it's something different. Next up, we have two villains who will both be part of Flash's Rogues Gallery. One of them is the Trickster, kind of Flash's answer to the Joker. And Trickster has a bunch of tricks and toys and traps, and he's always laughing and giggling. And hey, Mark Hamill even played him a couple times.
I remember
he's
that.
Very colorful looking too. He looks like a court jester. He's going to be able to be added to the Rogues mode, and so will the next villain, the Weather Wizard, who has a really cool outfit, and he carries a magic wand that can control the weather. He's basically Evil Storm. He might be a really powerful adversary to go up against. I think that he can be one of the ones that you can make especially challenging in terms of these stretch goal villains. Finally, our last stretch goal is a hero who we all know and love. I have had a crush on her since I was a little kid, but that's neither here nor there. It's Zatanna. With her top hat and her magic skills,
Now, me personally, I'm not into the whole magic thing, but I know there are people who like it. I know there are people into that. Now, in connection to Doctor Fate, I I can see why you put them in here. But again, this is something where I would put a dedicated box for that magical side of DC, with a box with Doctor Fate, Zatanna, Constantine, Etrigan, Trigon, possibly as the big villain. He'd probably have to be possibly the biggest figure there. Like make him as big as Galactus as he's going to be in season 3 of Marvel United. Like make that like if you want to go on that magical side of DC, you gotta do an expansion of that. You can't just put two big hitters like Zatanna and Doctor Fate in the stretch goal box. So I would replace Doctor Fate, sorry, with someone else. Like again, I already said I'd rather do a Blue Beetle expansion, but if not, possibly like Ted Kord's Blue Beetle and then Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle versus Zatanna. But if not that, um, replace it with the Brain, the Brain from specifically the Teen Titans, like Teen Titans version of Brain, like the Brain in a jar, and then Mobo. I forget his name. Darn it. His, the Brain's Gorilla. The Brain's Gorilla. Guardian. Like put those two in. But I think because those two kind of go hand in hand, you probably have to just make them act as one. So if that can't be done, then the other villain may have to be Doctor Light again from Teen Titans show. Doctor Light.
He represents part of the supernatural world of DC. Zatanna rocks. She's crossed paths with Batman a bunch of times. She's crossed paths with Green Arrow a couple times. She's also been a member of the Justice League. She's just amazing. So Zatanna has to be in here. And the idea of having one of these little United minifigures wearing a top hat, yes, friggin' please. Now, I mentioned the team decks. And I think if memory serves me right, if I'm looking at everybody together here, all of the hero teams that you could possibly play with from what we have in season 1 anyway, you will get the following team decks: Atlanteans, Gotham Knights,
Yep.
Justice League,
Yep.
Kryptonians,
Yep.
Speedsters,
Yep.
the Suicide Squad,
Yep.
and the Teen Titans.
All right. That's fair. I would add. I would honestly make this. Oh, okay, he already made the Suicide Squad ones. I think the Justice League should honestly be something kind of like the Fantastic Four in Marvel United, where if you were a member of this team, you get certain perks if you play with others like them in battle. Or that could, or if not that, Teen Titans can also fall under that because at least if you've seen the Teen Titans show, you know there's a big roster of Teen Titans you can pull from.
I think most of the characters fit into one of these categories. Obviously, more team decks will be unlocked in future seasons. If there's any team that I'm forgetting that is represented by these season 1 characters, please let me know. And last but not least, we want an all-in.
Only if you added more from Wonder Woman's side of things, then you can add Amazonians.
Bonus, right? We want to make people feel like they got their money's worth if they go all in on DC United. So as an all-in bonus, you are getting the only giant-sized miniature in the whole set. You are getting the hero Atom Smasher.
Okay, I can, uh, uh, because this is an imitation of I think mostly the recent season 3 where the all-in bonus was the Marvel villain Fin Fang Foom. So, but I liked Adam Smasher in Black Adam. I just don't know if that's good enough. Like, I just feel Adam Smasher is something like I think an all-in bonus. Oh man, no, because I was just thinking of Brainiac as an all-in villain, but I'm like that's better for a House of L villain, if not Zod. Like put Zod in there and Brainiac as a villain, bigger villain than that. Adam Smasher is okay, but I would pick somebody else. I'd pick somebody else for that. Starro from the Suicide Squad. Go with Starro as the all-in bonus as a villain. That to me is worth that'd be worth it. A giant walking sea star with an eye in the center. Like that to me is more worth it for an all-in bonus character. Or because to me Adam Smasher is like to me that's not you can make him the bit bigger, like for example, stature Goliath, but that's not good enough to be like Adam Smasher for many people may not be good enough. Starro might be.
And Adam Smasher is a lot of fun. So that's all the characters we'll be unlocking. And that would be, in this guy's humble opinion anyway, a pretty darn solid DC United Season 1. Will that ever hit a Kickstarter at some point? I hope so. My wallet doesn't, but I do. Now,
Same
like I
here.
said at the top, I didn't stop there. I went ahead and carried through with not only DC United Season 2, but even Season 3. DC's got a pretty hefty load of characters, and I wanted to give them all the credit that they deserved. So, next time on Digital Charcuterie, stay tuned for part 2 of this video, where we will talk about this hypothetical DC United and what its second season might look like, keeping in mind those parallels we talked about. If Season 2 was all X-Men stuff, and that just took one particular pocket of the universe and rolled with it, how can we take that and apply it to DC? Can it even be done? Until then, I have been Andrew Fantasia. You have been awesome, and may you all be the masters of your own universe.
All right, so I'll check out part two. I'll check out the part two, and I like I said, I've seen this video already, but the next one I think I'll just react to raw, hopefully if I have enough time. But those are my thoughts. What do you all think? If you search up Marvel United and see how it is, maybe you can check out the game and see if you'd be interested in that. But this was something that I like and something that I personally was hopefully excited for DC United to possibly become a real thing. And there's a lot of stuff in here I agreed with. There's a lot of stuff in here I agree with as what could go in a season one, but I just feel like a lot of other stuff in here I disagree with and would want to replace with other things. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I know this is a pretty long one, and so thank you so much for watching up to this point. You all are amazing. Digital Charcuterie, if you happen to see this video, oh, thank you for making this. And I've seen a lot of people play with this idea. Yeah, and I can see where your thinking was when you did a lot of these. I agree, and with some I really disagree. But hey, that's the part of the fun. We get to have a discourse or about what we think would be a great DC United as a companion or competitive piece toward Marvel United. Anyway, hey, thank you all so much for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, share this video. Hope you enjoyed it. React to my madness. I'll see you all in the next video. See y'all later.